You knew I'd see it. That's all I texted her. Just 6 words. No anger, no question mark. Just that. I stared at those 6 words for a solid 10 minutes before hitting send, while her bikini photo was still open on my screen. I wasn't breathing. I think I forgot how. She was on his shoulders. Micah, laughing, soaking wet, legs wrapped around his neck like it was the most natural thing in the world. I didn't even notice the ocean in the background at first, or the fact that she was wearing that necklace, the one I gave her on our 2nd anniversary. No, all I could focus on was his hands. His hands were on her thighs. I rubbed my own palm across my desk, wondering why it didn't feel like skin anymore. Everything was numb, like I'd just been hit by something, but the pain hadn't caught up yet. The worst part? She posted it herself. There was no oops, no tag by someone else, no story that would disappear in 24 hours. It was front and center on her grid, carefully chosen, filtered, cropped, captioned with best vibes, best people, best life dizzy hashtag beachbound hashtag soul tribe. Soul tribe. Are you king kidding me? I could have screamed, but I didn't. I just sat there, in my silent apartment, surrounded by takeout containers and a towel she forgot to pack. The same towel I bought for her last summer. Coral pink. Still smelled like her shampoo. She told me she needed space. She told me the trip was for healing. She told me not to be so controlling. She told me nothing was happening between them. And I, like a grade A idiot, gave her the benefit of the doubt. Again. But that post? That wasn't a vacation. That was a message. And now I have one for her too. But first, I need to tell you everything that led up to this moment. Every lie, every crack, every warning I ignored. Because this didn't start with a bikini pic. It started with a whisper I pretended not to hear. You ever try to convince yourself you're okay, while something inside you quietly dies? Yeah, that was me. 3 nights before she left, I stood in the doorway while she packed. I remember she had this playlist on, some chill vacation vibes nonsense, and she was rolling bikinis into little fabric burritos like she was prepping for a fashion shoot, not a soul-cleansing friend trip with the guy who's been circling her like a shark for years. I said, Rowena, can we talk for a sec? She didn't even turn. Can you not make this weird right now? That hit me like a slap. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't accusing. I was just standing there, holding a pair of her sandals I found under the couch, trying to hold on to whatever scraps of dignity I had left. I said, I'm not trying to fight. I need to understand why this trip is more important than what I'm asking. She finally turned, and the look on her face? Disgust. As if I was some pathetic Klingon orbiting her fabulous galaxy. You're being too sensitive, Curtis. That was her go-to phrase. Too sensitive, when I told her I didn't like how flirty her messages with Micah sounded. Too sensitive, when she laughed a little too long at his jokes during our game nights. Too sensitive, when she canceled our anniversary dinner because the crew wanted to grab drinks. No, I wasn't too sensitive. I was being slowly dismantled. I should have walked away that night. Should have told her to go to hell and booked myself a solo cabin in the woods with no cell service. But I didn't. I stood there and nodded like a whipped dog and handed her the damn sandals. The day she left, she didn't kiss me goodbye. She patted me on the shoulder like a coworker. She said, "Don't spiral while I'm gone, okay?" And then she was gone. The silence after the door shut was a living thing. I just sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the suitcase indentations on the sheets. I don't know how long I stayed like that. I didn't eat. I didn't shower. I didn't even open the blinds. I just waited. I thought maybe she'd send me a message. Check in. Ask how I was. She didn't. But 2 days into her retreat, she finally did post something. It was a video. Micah was holding the camera. They were doing tequila shots on the patio, the ocean behind them like a postcard. Rowena leaned into his shoulder and whispered something. He laughed. She laughed. He called her babe. And she didn't correct him. I replayed it 10 times to make sure I wasn't hearing things. I even put headphones on to isolate the sound. Babe. Not dude. Not bro. Not ro. Babe. Like it was the most natural word in the world to call my wife. But the worst part? The comments. Her friends, their friends, total strangers. All of them laughing, cheering, heart emojis. One said, "Finally, smiling face with hard eyes fire." Another, "Took y'all long enough eyes." Nobody mentioned me. Nobody even remembered I existed. Except for one person. Someone I didn't know messaged me that night. A stranger. A woman. And what she sent. It made my blood freeze. The message came at 2:17 a.m. My phone lit up like a warning flare in the dark room, and I almost didn't check it. I was halfway between sleep and that numb fog you get after days of too much caffeine and too little hope. But something about the timing made me pick it up. It was from a woman named Kaylee. No last name. Just Kaylee, third circle from Micah's birthday, whatever that meant. Her profile was private. 1 follower. No posts. But the message? It wasn't spam. Hey, I know this is weird. You don't know me, but I think you should see this. I didn't want to get involved, but it's not fair how she's treating you. There was a video attached, 39 seconds long. My thumb hovered over it. I hesitated. I don't know why. Maybe because deep down, I already knew that whatever I was about to watch, it would be the last nail in the coffin. And part of me still stupidly wanted to believe this was all just a misunderstanding. A bad week. A sun-drenched lapse in judgment. A phase we could work through. I pressed play. It was recorded vertically, like someone had held their phone low and sneaky. The setting was a club or maybe a bar by the beach. Loud music. Colorful lights. And there she was, Rowena, on the dance floor. Her arms were around Micah's neck. His hands were around her waist. They weren't just swaying. They were pressed together like puzzle pieces. Then he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't some clumsy, drunken mistake. It was slow, familiar, rehearsed, and she kissed him back. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor, and the sound kept playing. The muffled music, the laughter, someone off-screen yelling, "Get it, Ro," until it ended in silence. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, still, like someone watching the world fall apart through soundproof glass. The woman messaged again. I only filmed it because she told me she was married and in a complicated place, but then laughed about how her husband would never find out. I could not say something. I don't remember typing, but I replied, "Thank you. I'm glad someone had the guts." She didn't respond again. She didn't need to. She'd already done more for me than Rowena had in months. I stayed awake till sunrise. Not moving, just thinking. About every time she told me I was imagining things. About how she used to say, "Micah, EW no." About how I gave her every benefit of the doubt while she was planning her next betrayal. At 6:02 a.m., I changed the locks. At 6:15 a.m., I removed her access to the bank account. At 6:20 a.m., I blocked her on everything. But that wasn't the end. Because later that afternoon, after I finally crashed on the couch, emotionally obliterated, I woke up to find her standing in my doorway. Not knocking, not calling, just there, holding a smoothie in one hand and her sunglasses in the other like nothing had happened. She smiled. "Hey babe, can we talk?" She walked in like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just detonated our marriage on social media. Like she hadn't let another man touch her like that, hold her like that, kiss her like that. While I was here, eating microwaved ravioli and Googling how to save your marriage when your wife wants space. Rowena stood in the doorway holding a green smoothie in one hand and a stupid wide-brimmed hat in the other, like she had just come back from a casual grocery run. Her skin was golden from the sun. Her nails were freshly painted. Her phone was buzzing in her back pocket. And she had the audacity to smile at me. "Hey babe, can we talk?" For a second, I couldn't move. My body didn't register anything. My limbs, my voice, none of it was working. It felt like I was watching someone else's life from outside my own skull. I just stared. Then I said it. Quietly, calmly, but it scraped out of my throat like broken glass. "You kissed him." She blinked. For the briefest moment, something cracked in her expression. Just for a second. Then she looked away and sighed, like I'd just reminded her the trash hadn't been taken out. "Seriously? Are you spying on me now?" I actually laughed. I don't even know where it came from. It just burst out of me. Sharp, bitter, hollow. "No, Rowena. You posted the first one yourself. Then a stranger sent me the rest. I didn't have to spy. You broadcasted your cheating like it was a vacation souvenir." She crossed her arms, set the smoothie on the table like she didn't want to drop it in case it stained the floor. "Okay, first of all, nothing happened. Don't lie," I cut in. My voice was louder now. Shaking. "Please, if you're going to kill what's left of this marriage, at least have the decency to do it honestly." She looked down. Her lips tightened. For a moment, I thought maybe, she was going to finally tell the truth. Instead, she said, It was just a kiss, Curtis. It didn't mean anything. I froze. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. I wanted to shake her, to make her understand that the kiss wasn't the worst part. It was the choice. The indifference. The way she looked at me now like I was some needy relic of her past. Something she'd outgrown. You ignored everything I said. I said quieter now. I told you what that trip meant to me. I told you what it would do to me if you went. I told you I couldn't handle. Yeah, she interrupted, rolling her eyes. You gave me an ultimatum, Curtis. You tried to control me. I stared at her, stunned. Control you? I begged you. I pleaded. I told you I was breaking, and instead of helping me hold it together, you went and shattered it completely. She shrugged. Actually shrugged. I needed to feel alive again. I needed space. You've been so heavy lately. Heavy. That word landed like a punch to the chest. So that's what I was to her now. Not a husband. Not a partner. Just heavy. Dead weight dragging her away from her golden-hued, tequila-soaked fantasy life. I took a breath. My hands were shaking, and I realized I was holding her wedding ring. I'd taken it off the night I saw the video. I don't even remember doing it. But there it was, cold and small and meaningless now. I held it out to her. She stared at it. Didn't take it. You should go, I said. She didn't move. I changed the locks. You'll need to arrange a time to pick up your things. I'll box them for you. She looked at me for a long time. There was no apology in her eyes. No regret. Just annoyance. Like I was ruining her perfect re-entry into the life she thought she could keep pretending to have. Then she said it. You're being dramatic again. That was the last straw. I dropped the ring on the floor. It made the softest sound. Barely audible, but it echoed like a gunshot in my chest. Get out. She left without another word. And I, once the door clicked shut, collapsed to the floor and broke in ways I didn't know a human could break. But as I sat there, shaking and silent, something started to burn inside me. Not grief. Something worse. A need for answers. Because what Kaylee had sent me, it wasn't the only thing she had. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. I tried. I really did. I laid in bed with the lights off, phone face down. The whole house quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the occasional creak of the walls settling. But my mind wouldn't stop. It was sprinting in 1,000 directions at once. Every word she said, every smirk, every lie, they all echoed in my skull like they were on a loop. But one question kept punching through the noise like a fist breaking water. What else don't I know? Because if she was bold enough to post photos with Micah, bold enough to kiss him in public, bold enough to walk through our front door like nothing happened, then she was hiding more. There had to be more. You don't wake up one day and decide to betray someone like that out of nowhere. This wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. Or worse, it was normal for her now. And the longer I sat there in the dark, the more I realized. I didn't know who I'd been living with. So I got up. I went to the office, opened my laptop, and logged into everything I could think of. Our shared photo drive, her old cloud backups, even that dusty joint email we used to use for our wedding vendor planning. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. A receipt, a message, a ghost. What I found wasn't what I expected. In the drive, under a folder labeled Tax Docs 2022, there was a subfolder called Temp. Inside, a Word document. No title, just a date, 6 months ago. I opened it. It was a journal. Her journal. It started harmless enough, talking about work stress, how she felt stuck, how her friends seemed to be moving ahead in life. I understood that. I'd seen her wrestle with ambition. I always tried to support her. But then, halfway down the page, I saw my name. Curtis doesn't get it. I know he means well, but being around him feels like standing in a room with no windows. No light. No air. He's always watching me with those sad puppy eyes like he's waiting for me to disappoint him. It felt like someone had stabbed me, slow and deep. But it got worse. Micah gets me. We don't even have to talk. When I'm around him, I feel like myself again. I don't have to shrink or babysit someone's feelings. Sometimes I wonder what life would have looked like if I hadn't settled. Settled. That word hit like a sledgehammer. All this time, I thought I was loving her, supporting her, holding the roof up while she figured things out. She thought I was a cage. I kept reading, entry after entry. Some were short, some were pages long. One was a full account of a weekend she said she'd spent visiting her mom. But according to the journal, she didn't even leave the city. She spent it with him, in a hotel downtown. Dinner, drinks, dancing. She even described the way he looked at her across the table, said it made her feel visible again. I didn't realize I was crying until I saw the droplets hit the keyboard. I'd never felt so erased. Like my role in her life was to be a character in someone else's flashback. Some disposable act in the first chapter of a story she was already rewriting. But the final entry, that's what truly broke me. It was dated the day before she left for the beach trip. I know Curtis won't handle this well. I expect the sulking, the guilt tripping, the please don't go. But I've made up my mind. I'm tired of waiting for my life to begin. If it all explodes, so be it. I need to live. I was the obstacle. I was the before. All of it. The years, the quiet sacrifices, the late-night pickups, the shared meals, the boring Tuesdays on the couch with our legs tangled in silence. It meant nothing to her. But the part that really messed with me? She wrote it like she was the one being brave. Like I was the villain in a story where she was just trying to break free from some invisible chains. I sat back in my chair, the room blurry through my tears, and for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I didn't feel grief. I felt clarity. She wasn't coming back because she missed me. She came back to soften the exit, to play nice, to make herself the good guy, maybe even to get her stuff before I found the truth. But now I had the truth, and I wasn't going to sit in it. I was going to burn it. I didn't scream. I didn't break things. I didn't text her a list of all the lies I'd uncovered or call her every name I'd swallowed for the last 2 years. No, she wanted peace. So I gave her silence. For the next 3 days, I didn't answer a single message. Not the hey she sent the morning after she walked out. Not the can we talk, please? Not the guilt-flavored, I know you're hurting, but we both made mistakes. I just left her on read and went to work like nothing happened. But behind that silence, I was busy. The first thing I did was visit the bank. I split our accounts, removed her access to the savings, and locked down every card she had ever used in my name. She'd always borrowed my credit when she overspent, usually for things like spa weekends or emotional reset trips. Not anymore. Her little soul-searching sabbaticals were on her own dime now. Then I called the landlord. The lease was in my name. I asked what the process would be if a roommate moved out. I didn't say wife. Didn't need to. He said if she wasn't on the lease, she didn't have rights to the apartment. Perfect. That night, I gathered everything that wasn't hers, my books, my hard drives, my clothes, and packed them into the second bedroom. I moved into it like a stranger. I wanted the bedroom to feel cold when she came to get her stuff. I wanted it to feel like a place that had already moved on. I changed the Wi-Fi password, unlinked her Spotify, canceled the shared calendar, deleted our photo album from the TV slideshow. Petty? Maybe. But after what she did, it wasn't about being mature. It was about regaining control. On day 4, she finally showed up. I didn't expect her to knock, but she did. 3 soft taps, like she still believed we were playing house, and she was coming home from a coffee run. I opened the door, said nothing, and stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like she was bracing for a hurricane. Her eyes darted around the apartment like something might jump out at her. And maybe it did, just not what she expected. "Where's all your stuff?" she asked. "In the office," I replied. "Bedroom's yours. For now." She blinked. "For now. You came to get your things, right?" She hesitated. I thought we'd talk first." I sat on the arm of the couch, arms crossed. "Okay, talk." She fumbled for words. "Curtis, I'm sorry, okay? I know I messed up. But I felt lost. Micah understood things you didn't. But that doesn't mean I didn't love you. Present tense or past?" She looked up. Her face twitched. "What? Didn't mean you don't? Or didn't mean you didn't?" She exhaled. "I don't know. This isn't black and white." "No, Rowena. It's very black and white. You just don't like the side you landed on." She sat down on the couch, right where I used to lay my head in her lap on movie nights. She looked smaller now. Not broken, just reduced. I kept thinking about our life, and I realized I took you for granted. I thought you'd always be there, and when you weren't, when you actually meant what you said about being gone, it scared me. I tilted my head. "You weren't scared when you kissed him." She flinched. "Or when you slept with him the weekend you were supposed to be with your mom." Her eyes widened. Yeah, she didn't know I found the journal. There it was, that little crack in her mask. The real her. She sat in silence, calculating whether to deny it or lean into a confession. She chose silence. I stood up. "I boxed your things." Everything that's yours is in the hallway closet. If I missed anything, text me a list. You can pick up the rest Saturday. She stood too, more out of instinct than confidence. That's it. What were you hoping for? A second chance? Her eyes welled up. You said you loved me. You said we were forever. I looked at her for a long time. Then I said, I meant it. You didn't. And that was the last thing I ever said to her. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just grabbed her boxes and left. But here's where it gets twisted. I thought I had seen the end. But that was just the breakup. The fallout? That was still coming. I thought it was over. That's the dangerous part about betrayal. You assume once the person walks out, the damage stays behind them. Like the pain is tied to their presence. But what I didn't know back then, sitting in my half-empty apartment and trying to feel something other than grief, was that Rowena's mistakes hadn't finished echoing yet. They were just getting louder. It started a week after she left. I was at work, half listening to my manager drone through a status meeting, when I got a DM request on Instagram from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Jonas, one of Rowena's old co-workers from her PR job. The kind of guy who always smelled like expensive cologne and said, let's circle back, in real-life conversations. I almost ignored it, but curiosity is a hell of a drug. His message was short. Too short. Yo, you still with Rowena? I stared at it for a second, then typed, nope. His reply came within seconds. You might want to check LinkedIn. Something's blowing up. I opened the app. I hadn't touched LinkedIn in forever. I always felt like it was Facebook in a suit. But the moment I searched her name, I saw it. A post. Not by her, but about her. By a former client. A long, scathing paragraph about breach of contract, inappropriate boundaries, and professional misconduct involving a known associate. My stomach dropped. The comments were already filling up, vague accusations, mutual connections tagging others with eyes, even a few people posting screenshots. I clicked one. It was from Rowena's private story. It showed her, legs draped over Micah's lap, a glass of wine in her hand, giggling as he whispered something in her ear. The caption? When your client is hot, and so is the contract smiling face with horns #perks. I felt the blood drain from my face. Micah wasn't just the guy she cheated with. He was also the client she'd been assigned to for 6 months. The one her agency had landed after months of chasing the account. The one they trusted her to manage because of how relatable and emotionally intelligent she was. I remembered now. She had mentioned a big win around that time. Said the pitch had gone really well. Now it all made sense. The hotel weekend? The emotional burnout. The trip? It was never just personal. She was mixing business with whatever Micah was to her. The agency dropped her within 48 hours. Quietly, of course. No public statement. But her job title disappeared from her profile. Her creative director tagline vanished. By the end of the week, she was back to freelance, begging in her stories for small projects and referrals. At first, I felt vindicated. This was karma. This was the universe keeping receipts. The woman who made me feel invisible was now watching her carefully curated life unravel in front of thousands of mutual connections. But then it got darker. Because Rowena didn't take the hit quietly. She messaged me again. Hope you're happy. They're dragging me like I'm evil. You could have helped me explain. But no, you want me ruined. I didn't respond. What could I even say? That I was sorry she nuked her own career? That I should have protected her from the consequences she handcrafted with a smug smile and a hashtag? But what hit hardest wasn't the message. It was what came next. A week later, I woke up to a friend request from Micah. I swear I stared at it for 5 full minutes. I thought it was a mistake. Or some sick joke. But when I opened his profile, I saw it clearly. His new banner photo, right there for the world to see. Him. Alone. On the same beach they vacationed on. Caption. Some journeys are better solo. You live, you learn. Rowena wasn't tagged. She wasn't in the comments. I scrolled. Not a single trace of her anywhere. And in that moment, it hit me. He bailed. After everything she sacrificed, her marriage, her reputation, her job, Micah left her in the dust the second things got complicated. He was never planning forever. He was playing a game. And she lost. Bad. But here's the twist no one saw coming. She wasn't done with me yet. She didn't knock this time. She just stood outside the building, waiting. I saw her from my kitchen window, arms crossed, hoodie pulled up over her head like it could shield her from the wreckage behind her. Her face was pale, not from sadness, from exposure. The truth had finally touched her, in her job, in her reputation, in her lonely silence. And now she wanted shelter. But not love. Not me. Just safety. I waited a few minutes before going down. Not out of cruelty. I needed those minutes to remember who I was now. Not the man she left. Not the broken version she expected to find. Me. Whole. Quiet. Rebuilt. She looked up when I opened the door. "Curtis," she whispered. Like it still meant something. I nodded. "Rowena." She hesitated. "Can we talk?" I looked at her. Really looked. And it finally hit me. She wasn't some goddess I'd lost. She wasn't some cruel villain either. She was just a person. A flawed, scared, impulsive person who burned down her life because she thought freedom meant escape, not truth. And I wasn't angry anymore. "No need," I said gently. "We already said everything we needed to." But her voice cracked. "I made mistakes." "I know," I said. "And I made mine too. I stayed when I should have left. I begged when I should have walked. I waited for someone who already had one foot out the door." She didn't speak. She just stared at me, her mouth slightly open, like she was waiting for the part where I'd offer her a second chance. But that part never came. Instead, I gave her a small envelope. She took it slowly. "What's this?" "Your things. The last of them." She looked down, hands trembling. "You're really done, aren't you?" I nodded. "You ended it a long time ago. I'm just finally catching up." She blinked back tears. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered something. Something beautiful. I'm free. Not just from her. From the version of myself that needed to be chosen to feel worthy. From the constant questioning, the insecurity, the self-doubt. I wasn't bitter. I was better. I turned to go back inside. She called after me. "Curtis, are you happy?" I paused. Thought about it. I'm getting there. Then I walked back inside and closed the door behind me. Gently, quietly, and for the last time. Later that night, I took myself out to dinner. Alone. No phone, no distractions, no fake smiles. Just me, a good steak, and a blank journal I'd picked up on the way. The first page was empty. It didn't need to be about pain, or revenge, or closure. It was about beginning. I didn't need her to come back, because I had already found the person who mattered most. Me.